This program is brought to you by FanDuel, where we give sports fans the chance to win every day.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to the Pro Pels Talk following the New Orleans Pelicans 102-95 loss to the Charlotte Hornets. Just a disappointing game for the New Orleans Pelicans team that the Pelicans were up 22 in this game in the second quarter, lost it. The 22-point lead is the sixth largest lost by the Pelicans in a game. It ties for the sixth largest lead lost by the Pelicans in franchise history. The record is 27. Pelicans had a 27-point lead over the Portland Trailblazers back in 2006. So this was as bad as it could be, considering how well they played early on. And then just what happened after the break. I mean, this was classic New Orleans Pelicans in the worst kind of way. They were up 64-49 at halftime. They were outscored 53-31 in the second half. A total collapse. Yeah, you moved into a earlier game, a matinee game. The Pelicans had not done well in matinee games. They had been 0-2 this season in games where they played before 5 p.m. Okay. But the things we're going to look at today: when did it flip? How did this game flip? Why didn't Zion Williamson impose himself? Why didn't Zion Williamson do more in this game? Why did the bench in the second half completely, lose impact in this game? And then why does this keep happening to the New Orleans Pelicans? I mean, I've already seen a couple comments in chat where folks are like, over the last couple seasons, this is likely the worst fourth quarter team in history. And it's hard not to disagree with that. And it's not just the last two seasons. I mean, you got to go back even to the 49-win season when they were unable to close out games in the fourth quarter down the stretch. This was another one of those games. And, I also see a lot of stuff about James Borrego. We could talk about Borrego, but this is not purely a Borrego issue. You could change the coach. This team is poorly built. This team does not have enough competitors. This team is not skilled enough. This team is not talented enough. It doesn't matter. And I've said it plenty of times. It doesn't matter if you put Red Auerbach, Phil Jackson, Pat Riley, and Greg Popovich on the sidelines together with this team. And even if Borrego's not the guy, and I'm fine with that. If you say Borrego's not the guy. But it doesn't matter who the coach is. It doesn't matter if the team is trash. And this team has told you and has let you know by the way it plays and the way it competes that it's not a good team. And there's nothing that a coach can do. Yeah, you can add Spoelstra to it. Don't matter. You can add anybody that you want to coach this team, and they're going to be bad. They're going to be bad. Like, there's no reason there's a clear reason why people predicted this team to be bad before the beginning of the season. And y'all, by and large, said that was an insult to this team. 31 wins. It was 31 and a half wins, I believe, was the projection before the season. And a lot of y'all said, no, they're better than that. It's when you give up and you get beat on effort night after night after night, that ain't got nothing to do with coaches. When you can't close out possessions, that got nothing to do with coaches. When you can't make a layup, that's got nothing to do with coaches. The coaching can be bad. You can take all these dudes out and get hired in the coaching staff. Fine. Doesn't change the fact that these players are not good. They're not good. Coaching, yeah, fine. Like I said, but my question to y'all is, who are you going to get? Because they ain't spending that money. The Pelicans have never spent that money on a coach. So, why would you on a team that's going to come off another sub-25 win season? You don't pay for the coach when you're trash. You don't pay for a coach when you got trash. Your team is supposed to be better than this, but it also, your front office has assembled this team. Yeah, these are the fully healthy Pelicans except for DeJounte Murray. The fully healthy Pelicans except for DeJounte Murray, they're not good. It's not good. And you even have today, you had Antonio Daniels calling out Zion Williamson for his lack of aggressiveness offensively. We'll get into that. But let's start with this. The Hornets open up this game. Second half, 10-0 run right out the gate. The Pelicans missed their first 6 shots of the third quarter. Charlotte starts making their threes, changing the spacing of the game. And then the Pelicans obviously get outscored 29-18 in that period, despite being up 15 at halftime. It's all the way shrunk down to a 4-point lead. You're supposed to expect a push. The Hornets were getting better once LaMelo Ball came back into the game. He was hitting shots, but you knew going that there were 3 guys who were making shots for the Hornets tonight. Knipple, Melo, and Grant Williams. Okay? And the Pelicans didn't take any of those guys out of the game in the second half. You let LaMelo get going in the third quarter. You let Con Knipple get going in the third quarter. He's making shots off of movement. You let Colin Sexton start making shots in the third quarter. You allowed Grant Williams to give them 12 points in the first half. So the Hornets start coming at the Pelicans in waves, sending player after player. They're getting more aggressive defensively. They start picking up the Pelicans. And they really started to dominate from there. There was not much the Pelicans could do after the fact. Nobody was hitting shots, particularly in the second half. Outside of Trey Murphy, who had a good third quarter, but then nobody made shots in the fourth quarter. Zion gets a double-double, sure. Fine, he gives you a double-double. He took 1 shot in the second quarter. You know what I'm saying? The lack of aggressiveness. He comes out, you look at it in the first quarter, you look at that in the first quarter and you say, hey, he did a good job in the first quarter. Gives you 5 points, rebounded it, had 3 rebounds in the first quarter, starts coming out. And then in the second quarter, takes 1 shot. In the third quarter, no aggressiveness. Finishes the game 5 of 13. And even the opposing announcers were talking about Zion and just the inability of him to be aggressive. And you saw it. The Hornets started backing up. And allowing Zion space to shoot the basketball. And he refused. He either drove too far and got, into trouble at the basket, or he refused to take his jump shots. He just refused to take the jump shots. So this was a game where you got LaMelo Ball going downhill. This is a game where you got Brandon Miller going downhill. This is a game you got Miles Bridges finishing above the rim. You got them killing you on the offensive glass. And in this environment, again, there were several players who took more shots than Zion. There's several players who had more points than Zion. Franchise players are supposed to dictate games. Franchise players are supposed to dictate the tempo. They're supposed to demand the basketball. They're supposed to take games over. And what you saw was 2 players who were trying to be that for Charlotte in Brandon Miller and LaMelo Ball. 2 guys who took important shots. But the players for the Pelicans did not match the energy and the effort of the Hornets throughout the second half. Zion can't say that he's letting the game come to him. You don't do that when you play the kind of game that he plays. It is not a game that can be passive. You cannot sit back and look for what the defense is giving you. You have to create opportunities. Zion has to attack downhill in order to be effective. And you're not seeing that from him on a consistent basis. What does double-doubles mean if you're not giving second chance opportunities to your team? What does a double-double mean if you're not creating the kinds of assists and easy opportunities for your teammates that you need to be creating? What does any of this mean for Zion when clearly his impact remains diminished? It is no way near what it was at his peak. No way. And when you see him come down, the team still has an opportunity to win. He enters the game with 6 minutes to go. And he did nothing down the stretch. He didn't make an impact defensively. He didn't make an impact offensively. He did nothing down the stretch. He missed his free throws. Even with his body language, you saw him looking frustrated the entire game. All right. With the Pelicans, the offensive part, we got to talk about that again because offense has been, you knew the defense was not going to be great this season, but it's been better as of late. Again, today was an offensive day. I mean, a defensive day where you would say they should have won this game. When they give up less than 110 points, they are a pretty good team record-wise. Today, they only gave up 102. Defensively, they did a solid job. But the offense, when you shoot 39% from the field, when you go 11 for 34 for three, when you see how Charlotte loaded the paint, particularly in the second half, took away the Pelicans' advantage. The Pelicans had a huge advantage on the inside during the first half. That diminished and was completely gone in the second half. And so Charlotte loads up the paint, dares the Pelicans to make shots. They don't make any shots. Outside of Trey Murphy in the third quarter, where he went on a 10-0 personal run, nobody made shots in the second half. So you put the kind of defensive effort that you needed to put together, but offense just embarrassed you. Today, you go scoreless for the first 4 minutes and 33 seconds of the fourth quarter. The Pelicans went about 10 minutes between baskets in the third and fourth quarter. That's execution as much as it is anything. And yes, the Hornets have been the best team in the NBA since January. Yes, they've won 7 in a row now. Yes, they've won, 9 out of their last 11. Yes, they're very good. They've had not only the best record, but they've had the best net rating. They've been the best, second half team. Out all those things. But you were up 22. You were up 22. Like, it doesn't matter who the opponent is. You were up 22 in the second quarter, and you couldn't sustain any of that. You couldn't even play decently in the second half. So that, to me, is it's not the level of the opponent. It's not the level of the opponent. It's what did you do in the second half to hold on to the lead? You didn't do the simple things. Everybody got more passive. Derek Queen was more passive in the second half. And then you look at the minutes distribution, the energy from the bench was not there in the second half. The bench was outscored the Hornets 18-12 in the first half. No bench points really in the second half. It was just not a solid performance from anybody really in this game. Nobody gave you a 4-quarter performance. Trey had been playing some tough games recently, gets back into a rhythm for 3 quarters and then gone in the fourth. Nobody matched the moment for the Pelicans today. The bench, you took a look at the bench. First half, you get Fears, Misi, Makovich, Alvarado, all played well. All hit shots. Ran the floor well. Finished the transition. But then the second half, no advantage at all. The energy was gone. The production is gone. You couldn't get any scoring. You couldn't get that energy shift that you're used to with the second unit. Misi played one of his worst games in a while. In that second half, just his mind was not in there. Fears didn't get a lot of minutes in the second half, and I think that primarily was due to the defensive issues that the Pelicans were having, particularly against guards. You saw LaMelo, you saw Knipple getting free looks. And that has continued to be a problem for the Pelicans. Second chances, closing out possessions on the defensive glass, and then allowing those threes from players who get into a rhythm. But this happens all the time. So when it happens consistently, when it happens year after year, that tells you that this is a structural issue. This is a structural issue. Okay, there's nothing you can do. And again, take the fact that you have an interim coach. And I told you this too at the beginning of the year. You fire your head coach. You don't win games during the regular season. It doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen. You do not see bumps when you have to fire your coach early in the season. Your team is bad. That's why you fired your coach at the beginning of the season. This roster was built poorly. This roster was built poorly. You don't have enough passing. You don't have enough defense. You don't have enough rebounding. And I'm tired. I'm going to keep telling y'all this, and I'm going to say it one more time. Mike Malone is not taking the job in New Orleans. No good coach is taking the job in New Orleans, because if you want the job, you want power. And you're not getting power when there are two people running the front office ahead of you. Troy Weaver and Joe Dumars are calling the shots. No head coach with skins on the wall, like Mike Malone, is coming to a situation where he can't pick the players. He can't pick the players. He can't control the money. If you're trying to get a coach, where are these great coaches going to come in that operate that way? This idea that you're going to go out and sign an elite NBA head coach for a franchise that does not spend money on coaches, and a franchise that looks like it's lost to the rest of the league, a team with no first-round pick in 2026. And people keep saying, I don't know that. No, I don't know 100%, but patterns tell you what people are going to do. Patterns tell you what people are going to do. There has never been a situation since Tom Benson was owner of the Saints and the Pelicans that they have ever spent money on a head coach that they didn't have to. They spent money on Sean Payton because they had to. Any other time, they have not spent money on head coaches. My name is not Grubbs. I'm going to keep telling y'all this. There's no S on my name. Okay. We've talked about the defense time and time again. Green is not next year's pick, and no coach is going to accept that. This is the stuff right here. All of these Pelican shows are negative, man, always saying what we shouldn't or can't do and want us to trade players for picks and the same merry-go-round. We turn into a G League team for other teams. So keep everybody there. Keep them all. Keep them all. Keep everybody. Keep Zion. Keep Trey. Keep Herb. Keep Queen. Keep Fears. Keep Bay. Keep Hawkins. Keep them all. And just change the coach. Keep them all and just change the coach. You tell me it'll work. You got it. It'll work. It'll work. Just change it. Keep everybody on the roster and just get a better coach. And this team will win a championship. You got it? You're right. You're right. I don't know how you can be positive about a team that's got 13 wins and 38 losses. How do you spin that to some upbeat shit when your team has 13 wins and 38 losses? But keep it the same. Keep the status quo. The coach can't coach. Willie Green couldn't coach. That was true. But getting the best coach, if the roster is bad, doesn't matter. Like, I don't understand how you cannot hold two thoughts at one time. How can you people not hold two thoughts at one time? Multiple things in life can be true. Multiple things. You can have a bad coach and you can have bad talent, and replacing one does not necessarily fix the other. These are not children. These are NBA players. These are NBA players. This roster doesn't work. I don't know how anybody can look at it and think that this roster works. I don't know how you could think that it's a coach's fault when guys don't rebound. I don't know how you think it's a coach's fault when they can't make free throws. I don't know how you could think it's the coach's fault. Like, there are things that can be corrected through coaching. And there has actually been improvement since Borrego took over. They are taking better shots. They are playing at a better pace. They are doing some things. But you can only do so much with the roster you have, and you have to start creating the opportunity to improve. You don't have any margin for error financially. You don't have any margin for error talent-wise. So if you're going to have some flexibility, you got to get rid of some of the people you got. And to get rid of some of your bad players, you're going to have to give away some of your good players. That is the reality of the situation. You think people are waiting out there for Jordan Poole and DeJounte Hunter, and they're rubbing their hands like Birdman, waiting for those dudes to be available? No one is waiting for those guys to be available. Who wants to pay $31 million for 35% shooting? This is not about what you're doing to win games this year. There's no coaching move. There's no tweak to the starting lineup that you can make this season that's going to make this team good. Okay? So let's stop worrying about that. What do you want to see the rest of this season? What are the realistic goals for the rest of this season? So if the realistic goals have to be determining who's going to be on the roster next year. If you've already determined that Borrego's not the coach, that's fine. He's not going to get fired to the end of the year. They're not going to put in another interim coach. So you are stuck with Borrego right now till the end of this season. So forget that. So what other changes are you talking about? There's no starting lineup that you're going to put. Hey, I said it's time to trade Zion, but I just don't think it's going to happen before the break. I agree with it. There's just no chance before the break. I just don't see it. But if you're going the rest of this season, there's no starting lineup that you can put on the floor that's going to be better than the one that you have on the floor right now. It's proven that it's the best starting lineup you have, and it's not a small game sample. So you have the best possible starting lineup on the floor right now. You don't have enough pieces. Counting these 49 wins, this thing is always the one that gets me. You still were 8th. Winning is relative to your competition. You were still 8th. Willie Green never finished higher than 8th. Like, stop looking at the win total because it's about what's relative to your competition. That goes to the level of your competition. So if you're in the Eastern Conference and you got 49 wins, but you finish 8th, what's the point? It means nothing. The year that they won 48 games with Anthony Davis, they finished 6th. Like, this is a team that has not finished higher than 4th in ever. So what is this team? What is this organization? What is this? Hornets are a better team than the Pelicans. We know that. They've been hotter than the Pelicans. It's not just about this, but it's about these patterns that keep coming out about the Pelicans. Decent starts, big momentum swings, and then the inability to close. You don't get a lot of chances to be up 22 on the road. When you get those opportunities, you have to finish. This loss obviously hurts as you're trying to build some momentum. Second place in 2008, right? When they won the Southwest, whatever it was at that time. Right. This raises questions again about the leadership of this organization, the on-court leadership of this organization. Who is the leader? Because it's clearly not Zion Williamson. It's not Herb Jones. It's not Trey Murphy. Who is running this team on the court? Who is holding players accountable? Who is doing something when things start falling apart? You have no leadership. And it can't be. If it is Sadiq Bey, then that's sad because he just got here. And this is another problem with the Pelicans. You brought in CJ McCollum and said CJ is going to be the leader. He came from outside. He couldn't be the leader. Like, if your guy's coming from the outside to be the leader, it better be an all-star, a superstar. That didn't make any sense. You've not developed any leadership from within. Zion has not assumed that role. You tried it with Brandon. He didn't assume that role. Trey doesn't seem like that's his forte, holding guys accountable. Herb doesn't speak. He's an action speak louder than words guy. Who's the leader? It said a lot when they said that Jordan Poole was going to be the leader of this team. Another guy who had just arrived. No one in the building wants to take accountability. Okay? No one wants to have accountability for the team within the franchise. One player has to step up. There is no leader on this franchise. And that's a huge problem for the New Orleans Pelicans. And it doesn't matter who, they've got a difficult road trip remaining. You got to go to Milwaukee. You got to go to Minnesota. Minnesota's certainly a team that is going to be difficult, a team that gives the Pelicans a lot of problems. But what you saw today was just a continuation of what you've seen for the Pelicans for 7 years. For 7 years. Like, this is not something that you take this one game as a snapshot. It's not a snapshot. This is a continuing cycle. And we've talked about many of these same problems. Many of these same problems year after year. The lack of point guard play. The lack of consistent play at center. It's not the kind of team. Now, y'all go look at that 49 game series again. How many of they won most of their games when they had the advantage that year? Advantage, when they either had the advantage at rest or health or home court. And they had a losing record. I mean, barely a winning record at home court. They were 21-20 that year at home. But this is 7 years. Y'all go to that one season, that 4-down season when they finished 8th and got swept in the first round of the playoffs and act like that was an accomplishment. There are a lot of teams that do one-year wonders, get to the first round of playoffs, everybody gets excited, and they don't turn around. They don't get that second year. 1 year doesn't mean anything. What do we know about NBA champions? What do we know? There are consistent things that we know about NBA champions, and the Pelicans have done none of those things. Number one, you got to have a top 5 player. Pelicans don't have a top 5 player. Number 2, you got to be an elite offense or an elite defense, and probably both. Pelicans are neither. You've got to be a great rebounding team, most likely, except for the Celtics. Stop worrying about 1 year where things kind of looked all right. That's what the Pelicans have teased you with for 24 years. For 24 years, they've teased you with that. You get one decent season every now and then. Y'all get excited. And then they run it back again. They give you the same dish warmed over. It's like going to a cafeteria. That Salisbury steak that was there on Monday is going to be back in that tray on Wednesday, and they're just going to sprinkle some new parsley on it and tell you it's better, that it's fresh. And it ain't fresh. It's the same thing you've been eating for 7 years. So you're going to look at this one loss and say, hey, we were competitive against the Hornets today. Fine. But that ain't the job, is not to be competitive on a game that got moved around because of weather. Maybe the Hornets didn't wake up early enough to get going. Maybe the mellow ball near concussion, when they were up 9-4, and then all of a sudden. When you have built a team that consistently has inadequacies, that can't do the basic things, in basketball that cannot take care of the basketball consistently enough, that cannot protect the basketball, who don't run in transition, who don't make good decisions. Blame to everybody. Like I said, 7 things, and if 7 years of this. So if the first thing the franchise needs to do is get rid of dead weight. Get rid of dead weight. There's nobody on this team that's so good that you can't take the phone call and find out what the value is for every person on this roster. And there are going to be deals that you want to take, and there are deals that you're not. And if it's not the deal you want, fine. But you should be open at this stage to doing whatever it takes to move forward. Because the guy you keep trying to sell me on, and Zion Williamson, refuses to get better. He refuses to take shots. He refuses to make an impact. And like I said, if your franchise player doesn't attack the game with anger and fervor, show me that guy who's winning a championship. The people who win are obsessed with winning. Who on the Pelicans strikes you as someone who's obsessed with winning? Obsessed with winning. The dude who's going to be in the gym 20 out of 24 hours. The guy who's waking up at 3 a.m., going in there by himself. Who? Because if you don't have any of that, then it doesn't matter who the coach is. And if that best guy is a sixth man, Saddiq Bey, if their best guy is a fifth, sixth man, Saddiq Bey can't be your best player. He can't be your most determined player. He can't be your most aggressive player. You can win if he's your, guy coming off the bench. But you're not winning a championship if Saddiq Bey is your best player and your most competitive player. This has been going on. It has not changed no matter which players have been on the roster. It hasn't mattered which coaches have been there. It hasn't mattered because the essential part of this is that your best player, the guy who's supposed to drive the franchise, is trash. And in no sport is it more important than for the best player to make an impact than in the NBA, because there's only 5 guys on the court. You can be the best player in baseball and never win a World Series. Shohei Ohtani couldn't do anything when he was playing for the Los Angeles Angels because they were terrible. You could have the greatest quarterback all the time. Saints fans will talk about Drew Brees. How many times you say the other side of the ball, let Drew Brees down? It doesn't matter in those two sports if you've got the best player at a position or whatnot, because there's too many other variables. In the NBA, it's 5 guys. Your best player is supposed to be better than the other 9. And how many nights this season has Zion Williamson been better than the other 9 guys on the court? What do you want? That's what Pelicans fans got to understand. You have to start demanding what you want. Do you want to be okay? Like, the championship is a bonus, right? Championships are a bonus, but you want to have the opportunity to compete. You want to be in the playoffs 5, 6, 7, 8 years in a row one time. Just once in the history of the franchise. You want to get a consistent run where you feel like we've got an opportunity. And the Pelicans have never given you that belief. They have never given you that belief. Today was just a further symptom of the problem that has existed in this franchise for 24 years. 24 years. Like, the Pelicans didn't make a bucket until Zion makes a layup with 5:37 to play in the fourth quarter. Not one bucket. Not one bucket. You were up 4 to start the fourth quarter, and you end up losing 7. What is this team, man? What is this team? Shout out to Ann Grace. Welcome, new member. We appreciate you. Let's look over here. Who is the general? 1083. Appreciate the super chat. Being honest with Zion, getting the ball in the second half, it ruined everything. You have to sit and watch Zion dribble and try to kick the whole team out of rhythm. The ball doesn't move and he won't shoot open shots. Yeah. I mean, at least when you were playing point Zion, there was an idea that he was going to keep playing downhill. You could spread out the court and the shots would come. It's not happening anymore. Teams have figured that out. There's no variation in what you were doing, running 1-4 flat with Zion Williamson, who's not going to pull up and shoot jumpers at all. When you know that the only option he has is drive left or drive right and spin back left. Drive right, spin back left. So other teams have figured it out. They built the wall. And then Austin Tyler, next head coach will be cheap as someone has a relationship with Troy, and I think that'll be Kevin Ollie. I wouldn't be surprised. Again, when has this franchise ever spent money on a head coach? And relationships seem to be the thing that runs the day, right? Relationships with the Pelicans seem to be the thing that runs the day. The team doesn't look like they want it. It doesn't look like there's a player who cares enough. They blamed it on everybody. Are you new, Bruce? Everybody knows. If you've watched me, listened to me, I've been saying it's an organization structural problem for years. I ain't blaming it on one side. Everybody in this chat who's watched me for more than a month can tell you that I've said it's a structural top to bottom issue. Ownership, the front office, the coaching, and the players. I get it. You hate Zion, but you're wrong. It has everything to do with the coach giving the team direction, which would give them identity. Again, are you people new? Are you people new? Are you people new? Because I have talked about Zion. I talked about giving him opportunities. I talked about having that man, assume the role of a franchise player. And you've never had to tell a legitimate franchise player to get your ass in gear. So you're the ones that are making excuses. You're making the excuses. I don't hate Zion Williamson. I don't know him to hate him. Last year, I was in the press conference afterwards, and Zion asked me about his own status, and I said to his face in the press conference that I didn't think it was time for the Pelicans to give up on him last year, that he deserved an opportunity because of his level of talent, but that time was running out. Time has run out. How many opportunities are you going to give somebody? How many opportunities are you going to give somebody to show you that they're not going to live up the responsibilities that they're supposed to assume? How many? Zion is a supremely talented basketball player. Again, multiple things can be true. Zion is a supremely talented basketball player, and he's been an incredible disappointment this season. And I'm just going to stick with this season. I ain't going to do the other 6. How many times, and I'm asking that question, how many times has he been the best player on the court this season? How many times? So if that's the question, how many times has he been the best player on the court? If it's less than half the games, if it's less than a quarter of the games, which it has been this season, that's not a franchise player. It's not a franchise player. He doesn't want to be here. He doesn't want to be here. I don't know if he wants to be in the NBA because he's not playing like it. This is the dumbest stuff. David Grubb hates this team and fan base. I hate this team. I guess I do. I guess I do. I hate this team. I hate y'all. I hate this team. I hate bad basketball. And I ain't going to lie to you. Now, I'll tell you, if you want to blow smoke up, if you want somebody to blow smoke up your ass, that's a different show. If you want somebody to lie to you and tell you things are great, that's a different show. We're talking about basketball, yo. We're talking about basketball. And your team has 13 wins, and you want me to be more positive? I'm talking about the basketball on the court. I'm talking about the roster problems, that you don't have a good roster fit. I'm saying that you don't have a front office that's proven to be competent. Tell me where I'm wrong. If I hate the Pelicans so much, what about what I'm saying is wrong? All right, y'all. I appreciate the folks that hung out and stayed with me this whole time. Let me see. Hold on. Let's see. I think we got another one. Hey, Salim, $10. Appreciate you. Always good to see you in the chat. Simple answer is yes, we aren't good. True. Borrego's not a good coach. True. Zion isn't a star. True. He's a good finisher. This team lacks heart and fight. True. Team needs a redo or a big makeover at least. All true. Anybody got a problem with anything that was just said in there? All of that is true. Team ain't good. Borrego's not the head coach for this team in the future. Zion is not the franchise player that he should be. The team lacks heart and fight. All that's true. Team needs a redo and a big makeover. All that's true. Show me anything that's not true. Like, I spent 10 years doing this, okay? Just for the Pelicans, 10 years. 25 damn years covering basketball. Man, y'all know that from the day I started with Hard to Pay, we tell the truth around here. We tell the truth around here. You've never seen a franchise player lack the motor that Zion Williamson lacks. You've never seen the angry. You've never seen angry. Like, y'all deserve to be angrier. Y'all deserve to be angrier. Because what have you gotten for the millions and millions of dollars that have been invested by the people of New Orleans, by the state of Louisiana, and giving these financial incentives to this franchise? What have you gotten in return? And you mad at me? And you mad at me? You've gotten one playoff series win in the last 15 years, and you mad at me? You mad at me for telling you that you deserve better? Come on, man. This is like an abusive spouse situation. You used to take in this abuse and you start justifying it. You start justifying why that person is beating on you. You keep saying that it's going to change, that they're gonna be a better person. That last time was the last time. The organization has shown you who they are, right? Was it Maya Angelou who said, somebody shows you who they are, believe them the first time? Trade some of these guys, yo. It's not going to work with this. You end up like the Kings. You end up like those teams. Just keep doing this, trying to make it better, and it just doesn't work. History of the NBA shows you, if your number one pick doesn't win a championship by year 5, typically, they ain't winning it with you. I did the numbers. I went all the way back to Shaq in 92. If your number one pick doesn't win a title by year 5 with you, they ain't going to win one. It just happens that way. If your coach doesn't win it relatively quickly with you in the NBA, it doesn't happen. Championships happen quickly in this league. When you look around, teams get to the finals very quickly when they're poised to do so. There are very few teams that take 7 to 10 years to figure things out. Giannis is the exception, not the rule. When you look at what's been going on with this league lately, Tatum won a year, was it year 6, year 7? But how many years was it with Missoula? It was year 3 with Missoula, right? Year 2 or year 3 with Missoula. So it was about the coaching change in that circumstance. And Tatum wasn't a number 1 pick. I said number 1 picks, not number 2s and not number 3s. So when you're number 1s, the number 1 overall drafted players, go look at number 1 overall drafted number 1s. Go look at it. So if you see that history is telling you all the things are stacked against you, and y'all keep thinking that the Pelicans are going to be the one team to buck history, when everything says they've messed up, you can't just move the deck chairs on the Titanic. You got to plug the hole in the boat. And there's a giant hole in the boat. There's a giant hole in the boat when you go back-to-back seasons with less than 30 wins. There's a giant hole in the boat. And y'all want to rearrange the deck chairs and say, give it one more chance. We could go out there and do it one more time. What do you think is going to be different? What do you think is going to be different if you bring Zion back next year? What do you think is going to be different? If you're going to build a team, whether it's been Indiana, you look at this small market thing has nothing to do with winning. It's not about small markets. Detroit's a small market. Indiana's a small market. Indiana's been to finals. Detroit was to the finals. What you gonna do? You're gonna think that things are just gonna change magically if you just keep hoping that they do? You need a franchise player. You don't have a franchise player. You need a franchise player. Who is your franchise player? And until you settle that question, not gonna be anything. Because your player is going to help determine the identity. It's just not a good team, yo. It's just not a good team. Top to bottom. Top to bottom. Ownership, front office, coaching, players. And you're talking about a playoff loss. Y'all are still hyping up like getting to the playoffs and getting swept. Like you don't get hyped up about getting to the playoffs and getting swept. Like that was a team. You were the 8th seed. And your failures as a team are the reason you were the 8th seed that year. The fact that you couldn't close games in the 4th quarter. The fact that you couldn't win games at home that year. The fact that you couldn't win games when you really needed to, and you still didn't put together any extensive winning streaks during that 49-win season. You just didn't have any real long losing streaks. The longest winning streak of that 49-win year was 7. The Hornets just won 7. It's everything. It's everything. You don't have enough players. You don't have enough. You don't have enough shooting. You don't have enough ball handling. You don't have enough rebounding. What do you have enough of? You got more wings than Buffalo Wild Wings. You got all the wings you want. But you got nothing. The team is healthy right now. And this idea, why would the NBA want, again, why would the NBA want Zion Williamson to be terrible for 7 years when this team, when Zion Williamson is one of the few American players that people were hyped up about in the last decade? Why would the NBA want him to be bad for an entire decade of his career? Why would the NBA want his value to drop like this? Why would Jordan Brand want his value to drop like this to the point that they dropped him as a shoe endorser? Why would everybody want that? If that's the conspiracy, what kind of sense does that make that the league would tank the value of a potential star. The absurdity of the ideas that y'all come up with sometimes in defense of the indefensible makes no sense. How can you keep doing this? Y'all quote it all the time. Doing the same thing over and over again is the definition of insanity. And yet you still want to do the same thing over and over again. The NBA has no desire to lose stars who put up highlights. Highlights drive the league. The damn commissioner said it. It's a highlight league. Zion produces highlights. The league would not want him to not be on TV every night making highlights. That's the reason they put him on the most televised games in the league as a rookie. So to think that the league is hoping that Zion, after missing all these games, is going to go somewhere else and then turn into a number one pick who wins a bunch, the league is not thinking that. That's a hell of a gamble to take. To say 7 years of him being terrible is worth it so that he can be 27 years old and finally start scratching the surface of his potential because that's the best thing for the league. It's too late. He's not even going to be a guy who plays 15, 16 years in the league. He doesn't have that ability because of his physical makeup. He's not going to play 15 years. So, and even if he was, you've wasted half the career. So why would that be the conspiracy? How would that even make sense? Whew. All right, y'all. I don't want to lose my cool no more. But Pelicans lose 102-95. And they still have 2 games left on this road trip. They will be taking on the Bucks next before they go to Minnesota and then head back home. A tough loss, 22-point lead blown in this game. We'll see what's in store in the next one. I appreciate y'all sticking with me through this whole show. We did almost an hour on a game where they blew a lead like that. But yeah, thank y'all so much. I appreciate y'all again. Y'all have a great rest of your Monday, and I'll talk to y'all soon.